Om Gangadipataye Namaha. Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on the Vedanta. If anybody really cares about this stuff. It's only the foundation of the last 5,000 years philosophy of the human race. But really, very few people understand it properly because it's so broadly open to interpretation. And people take advantage of this to push their own ideas forward. And what we're trying to do in this series is to bring out the actual original intent of the Vedanta, which is, of course, self-realization. So we're speaking on the verses from the point of view of self-realization as taught by Ramana Maharshi. Sutra 18. We're going to skip several sutras because they refer to various grammatical reasons why Ānandamaya cannot be considered Brahman. So we want to talk about some experiential reasons and ontological reasons. So we're going to skip these technical grammatical sutras because they're not very interesting from our perspective. And we're going to focus on the ones that are really meaningful in terms of realization. So, Sutra 18. And on account of the word bliss, literally desire, referring to Brahman, you cannot infer Ānandamaya is also Brahman, since the suffix mayat is used to denote modification. So, Ānandamaya, just like Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, or Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, Ānandamaya is a modification or a product. The suffix maya is different from māyā with two long A's, which means the illusion, or that which not is. That which does not exist in reality is maya. And of course the illusion, the maya, in this situation, is that one thinks the body is the self. Whether the food body, the annamaya, or the mind, manomaya. In this case, the Ānandamaya is one of the great obstacles on the path of realization. At a certain point in meditation, one becomes overwhelmed with bliss and thinks, this is it. I got it. And of course, the texts themselves sometimes refer to Brahman as Ananda, bliss. So, in this case, there's a confusion between the original Brahman and the modification of Brahman. Of course, it's actually not a modification. It's only our deluded vision that sees the different bodies, koshas, or coverings, as separate or modified Brahman. Brahman never becomes modified. Brahman never changes. But it projects an illusion. And this is called the māyā-śakti, the potency of that which is not. So, maya, with short a's, actually mayat, means a transformation, a modification, a projection, an illusion. So it seems to exist, but it doesn't really exist. Just like if you're in the desert and you see a mirage of water in the distance. Well, if you have any knowledge of deserts, you know there's no water there. And the more you try to approach it, the further it will recede toward the horizon. So there's no use in going after it. In the same way, one who knows Brahman knows the illusion of a transformation of Brahman is simply a mirage. And if we try to pursue it, if we try to own it, enjoy it, or whatever, then we'll be in trouble. So why do we accept this illusion? Why do we accept this transformation? Because it's based on something real. There really is some water somewhere. And so when we see the mirage, we say, oh, that's it. But the resemblance is only superficial. The resemblance is only in the appearance. Similarly, the existence, the material existence, has the appearance of reality. But if we observe it closely, if we observe it experientially, we see that it doesn't. Because why? It disappears every night when we change our state of consciousness. When we go from waking into dreaming, when we go from dreaming into sleep, all these forms dissolve and disappear. And they don't exactly merge with Brahman, yet they are nothing but Brahman, just like the waves and the foam of the ocean. Brahman is like the ocean, and the different manifestations or projections or modifications or whatever you want to call them are simply like the waves and foam. So when they disappear, not if they disappear, when they disappear, Brahman is seen to be all there is, all there ever was, and all there ever will be. So there is no modification, no change, no production of a byproduct of Brahman. Brahman is always Brahman, just the way it is. But we see things as differently because of our motivation. We want to have a separate existence. We want to be individuals. And so we see the manifestations as separate from Brahman, having their own reality, their own existence. But actually they don't. So this brings up the final reason, the actual reason why this whole system of sheaths, koshas, beginning with the Ājñā-cakra and ending with the Ānandamaya-kosha, are all rejected. Neti, neti, neti. Ramana says this idea of neti, neti refers to the koshas. That when we reject, this is not it, this is not it, this is not Brahman, this is not Brahman either. That means we are saying no to these bodies, and we are residing in Brahman alone. Now the 19th Sutra. The Vedas also teach of its, the jivas, becoming, on the dawning of knowledge, one with this, referred to in the passage under discussion. So the jiva, the individual, the apparent individual, the illusory individual, also appears to merge or become one with Brahman at the time of self-realization. Now, the translation uses the word merge, but we don't like this because it infers that the jiva is real entity. And just like one drop of water can merge with another drop or with the whole ocean, that example is given sometimes, that similarly the jiva merges with Brahman at the time of realization. But is that really true? No. What really happens is that the illusion of the jiva's separate existence is seen to be false. So this is actually yoga. And the word yoga is used in the sutra too. Yoga doesn't mean merging. It means connecting two separate entities to become one. It comes from the word yukta. And yukta means joining, like a horse to a cart. So when we hitch a horse to a cart, the horse and cart don't merge, but they begin to function as a single unit. And this is exactly what happens in the case of the Jivan Mukta. The Jivan Mukta is a soul, a being, a jiva, an individual who realizes the illusory nature of his individuality. We think we know what we are, who we are, where we are, what we're doing, and so forth. But when we see that all of this knowledge is based on a false premise, then what happens? And the false premise is that Brahman, the original existence, the root substance or seed of all other existences, becomes changed, modified. From one, he becomes many. But this is not true. This is only an appearance, like a mirage, like an illusion. Maya, it doesn't really exist. And so all the thoughts, knowledge, perceptions, and experiences that we have based on this assumption are also false. Illusions. Now, when we realize that the appearance of water in the desert is an illusion, what do we do? Do we try to destroy it? No. We simply drop it. We walk away. We follow the path that goes to the next oasis. We don't pursue the illusion. So in the same way, one who realizes this no longer pursues different kinds of bodily perfection, different kinds of bodily aggrandizement, such as collecting many possessions and so on. Now, if he already has possessions, that's fine, because he's going to realize these aren't real, these aren't even mine. So why should I care about them? I should just be detached. So we see that the jnanis, even though every jnani is unique and individual and lives in his own way, in his own style, according to his nature, we see that they don't strive to enhance their illusory existence. They simply accept whatever they are and go on, realizing that, okay, there's nothing but Brahman, and I am that Brahman. Myself, my innermost core, my unconditioned awareness. That awareness that exists as a precondition for consciousness is the real self. And just like you cannot tell one bucket of seawater from another bucket of seawater, they're all identical. They taste the same, they look the same, and so on. In the same way, you cannot distinguish or identify one consciousness, one unconditioned awareness from another, because they're all the same. Take a bucket of space, intergalactic space, and then take another bucket from another area. Can you tell them apart? No. No. In fact, you can't really even do anything with space. It won't stay in your bucket. And this is also a Vedic analogy, that when the pot is broken, the space that was in the pot and the space that was outside become indistinguishable. So in the same way, when the illusion of separate existence is broken, what happens to the space? What happens to the energy? What happens to the consciousness that was considered me or mine? Does it retain its individuality? No, because the container is broken. So it appears to merge back into the source Brahman. But does it really? Was the space in the pot ever really separate from the rest of the space? No, only in the illusion. So when the illusion is broken, then the reality becomes self-evident. Om Tat Sat. Om Harihi Om.